Hey friends, and welcome to another episode of Q&DJ. On tonight's episode, we're going to discuss what the Bible says about ghosts. So if you're interested in that topic, stay tuned. Guys, I just want to welcome you to the HomeGrown Ministries YouTube channel. My name's DJ, and on this channel I provide Bible study videos, words of encouragement, and answers to any of your questions from a biblical perspective. So if you like what you see here today, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below so that way you don't miss any content in the future. Tonight's question comes from my spouse, so thank you, love, for this great question. One night we were laying in bed and she said to me, "Why don't you do a video on what the Bible says about ghosts and whether or not they actually exist?" Since it's the Halloween season, brilliant idea. I need someone to manage my videos to come up with better ideas, so thank you, love. Again, I appreciate your question, and I'm happy to address that today. So guys, I did some research. Again, I'm not an expert in the field, never went to seminary, nothing like that, so I'm going to tell you what I found out in regards to ghosts and what the Bible says about them. But if you disagree with me or agree with me or want to just leave an additional comment or additional findings, I'd love to hear from you, so don't forget to leave a comment below and I'll engage in conversation with you. So first and foremost, I want to start with a definition of what a ghost is. And I know it sounds silly because most of us are on the same page, but I don't want to assume anything. So I looked at the actual dictionary definition of a ghost and then I went from there. So the definition says, a ghost is an apparition of a dead person that is believed to appear or become manifest to the living, typically as a nebulous image. So the dictionary definition is that a ghost is a person who has died that is still on earth appearing to people. And as far as I'm concerned, the Bible says that that definition of ghost does not exist on earth. And here's why. When we die, we go immediately to be with the Lord or immediately to judgment. And here's how I'm going to defend that. So I hate taking verses out of context, so do research on your own. Again, test me, test anybody that's preaching the gospel to you. If you want to see if they're true, test the words against the gospel, and the gospel will lead you to the right direction. But because I only have so much time, I'm going to pull some verses out of context, and I'm not going to give you a whole lot of background on all of them, so please, please, please test me, fact check me. If you disagree, again, leave a comment below. So first verse I'm going to throw at you is Luke 23, verse 43. This is during Jesus' crucifixion. He's up there with two other criminals, and one of the criminals is essentially repenting of his sins. He's rebuking the other criminal for mocking Jesus, and Jesus answers him in this verse, and he says, "Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise." He doesn't say tomorrow, he doesn't say next week, he doesn't say after the rapture, he doesn't say any of that. He says, today you will be with me in paradise. So that's my first standpoint. In 2 Corinthians 5:8, we see Paul saying, "We are confident, I say, and would prefer to be away from the body and be home with the Lord." Okay? So he's not saying I'd prefer to be away from the body to be sleeping and waiting the resurrection. He's saying I'd prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. In Philippians 1:23, it says, "I am torn between the two. I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is better by far." So again, this is stating that if we depart, we go to be with Christ. Now, next thing is, what did Jesus Christ say about the resurrection of the dead? So in Matthew 22:31 and 32, when he's being questioned about the resurrection, because there's Jews in his day that don't believe in the resurrection, they're trying to trap him, his response is, "But about the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what God said to you? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living." Let me repeat that. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. So Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, all three of them have passed away from their human body at this point. And Jesus is saying, guess what? They're not dead. They are alive with God. So the next thing we're going to look at is a passage that Jesus is talking about something that has happened. So we know Jesus talks in parables. This story that I'm going to give you is a story. It's not a parable. And there's a huge difference because stories are things that Jesus referenced that actually happened. And this comes from Luke 16:19 through 31. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the story is about the rich man and Lazarus. And Lazarus is a poor beggar. They both die at the same time. Rich man goes to Hades, as we see. and Lazarus goes to heaven. And so, looking specifically at verses 22 and 23, the Bible says, "The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In Hades, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side." So this is Jesus telling a story of an event that actually happened. These two people passed away, and they were not sleeping, they were not resting, they were not waiting for the resurrection. They were either by Abraham's side or in Hades in torment. So those are three examples that we see from the Bible of what the Bible says and what Jesus says in regards to the resurrection. Now, DJ, isn't there an exception to the rule in the Old Testament? Didn't somebody summon Samuel back in a seance or something like that? Yes, and that's an exception. And here's what's so cool about that. What's so cool about that is if you look at this passage in Samuel 28, verse 12 specifically, what happens is Saul is trying to consult with the Lord. The Lord is angry with Saul, so he's not speaking to him. His answer essentially is, "No, Saul, you've done wrong in my sight, and I'm not speaking to you in regards to any of your requests at this moment." Okay? Now, I did do a video on Does God Answer All Prayer? You can find that video right here if you want to check that out and find out what I have to say about that. But so, because Saul's not hearing a word from the Lord, he seeks out someone who can bring in a seance and bring Samuel back from the dead, essentially, to talk to him, to consult him, because at this point Samuel has already passed away. Now, in verse 12, and this is what I love, this spiritist woman, when she sees Samuel, the verse says she cried out. She cried out because she was shocked, because this has never happened before. This is a real person that actually showed up in her space. When typically she does a seance, she's probably seeing spirits or demons, and I'm going to get into that a little later. But this is a real person. So yes, God did make an exception and did allow Samuel to appear before Saul to rebuke him. But it was so powerful that it scared the woman who did seances, because the seances never actually brought real people back. So it scared her. And that's so cool to me, because it shows that what we see as ghosts and what people who talk to the dead are actually talking to are fallen angels or demons. And that's scary. So let's talk about that. So what do people actually see when they're seeing a ghost? Or what are people actually talking to when they're using a Ouija board or any of those things? And this is why I really discourage Christians from using this. Actually, I would say Christians should not do this or can't do this, because you're opening a door for the devil into your life. And so Satan has fallen angels that he uses. And he uses them to attack us. And if you don't believe in spiritual warfare, well, read the Bible. There's spiritual warfare that's happening all around you. And why Satan's fallen angels appear as ghosts is because fear is a powerful weapon. And if he can make us afraid, we will not only be scared and do stupid things, but we will also flee from God in our fear and our panic. If you've ever seen how people react to panic and fear, there's the fight or the flight. Most people have that flight, and when they're scared, they run. And when you run from everything, including God. And that's what Satan is trying to do. Satan is trying to pull you away from God in your fear. In Matthew 8:28 through 34, we see Jesus actually casting out 2 demons from men. There's another passage where he casts out a demon from a man. It's a legion, and it goes into pigs. In Acts 16 through 18, we see Paul actually casting out a spirit from a woman who's fortune telling, and after that spirit's cast out of her, she can no longer tell fortunes. So we see demons or fallen angels all throughout the New Testament acting as ghosts, acting as things that they're not. And really, what people are seeing are just demons. So now the next question is, how many demons are there? And this is scary. Hebrews 12:22 says, the amount of angels is uncountable. It's immeasurable. There's so many of them that it's an uncountable number to us, to humans. God knows how many there are, but we can't figure that out. And that's very powerful, because think of that. If Satan has fallen angels, that means there's tons of these demons. That's why people see ghosts everywhere, because Satan has control over a large group of fallen angels. Now, this is not fear-mongering. I don't mean to scare you, because there is encouragement here, and here's the encouragement. In Revelations 12:4, we see that when Satan fell from the sky, he took 1/3 of the angels with him. So we don't know how many that is, because again, the angels are uncountable. But if he took a third of the angels with him, so there's 1/3 fallen angels, how many angels does that mean there are here to protect you? 2/3. So for every one demon that's attacking you, there are 2 angels that are protecting you every single day. So be encouraged, brothers and sisters, because A, ghosts are not real. And B, if you're seeing a ghost, it's a demon. And C, if you're seeing a demon or a fallen angel, know that there are 2 angels that are aligned with God that are here to protect you and keep you safe. So rely on your salvation. Rely on your Father in heaven who wants good things for you, who is here to protect you. And you will find peace. Guys, that's your encouraging word for the day. That's your answer to this question. Love, I hope that answers your question. Guys, if you have further questions on this topic, again, if you disagree with me, if you want to add to the conversation, please leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you. And if you like the video, please hit that like button, share it with your friends. It helps out a great deal and will help spread the message of the good news of the gospel to the world. So guys, share away. And as always, I love you dearly. Go encourage someone else today. Be a light to this world. Be a salt to the earth. Preserve the morals. Encourage someone because someone really needs it. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.